I think it starts with trust, building that collaborative relationship where we're almost on the same team, right? Like we have an amazing strategy team. And if we don't have that open line of communication with our clients to be like, hey, this is what we're seeing. Is this right? Or, hey, can we push you here? Is this like, how does this feel? Can we challenge you? Can we continually look at and redefine greatness, right? Like, what is that? Building that trust and those relationships is what, at the end of the day, makes the ideas so much better.
Welcome to No More Bad Events, a fun and insightful podcast for professional event organizers and for anyone at any level interested in producing nothing but the best events. Each week, we'll talk with legendary event professionals to get an inside look into what they think makes a great event. And in the process, we'll draw out insider secrets, non-traditional approaches, and compelling stories from the most captivating personalities in the business. No More Bad Events is produced and presented by eSpeakers, the most trusted online platform for the best keynote speakers in the world. And I'm your host, Scott Bloom, comedian, event MC, and now your podcast host. Let's get started. Hey folks, thanks so much for dropping by. I gotta tell you, I just love it when we get a chance to tap into perspectives on producing no more bad events that we haven't yet entertained. This is one of those. My guests, Anna Mader and Matt Schrader, are heads of creative design and client experiences at XDA, an Atlanta-based creative agency. And they have a unique brand platform, namely Create Better. And folks, guess what? They do it with gusto. They exude fearlessness to question, to rethink, and redefine. And they further define it as action, progress, and the courage to respectfully disrupt the norms for phenomenal outcomes. And there's more. They elevate the character of kindness in all the things they do, and they combine that with a badass approach. Their words, not mine. And they are powerful words to be sure. Nothing about XDA is traditional. Together with Anna and Matt, we'll explore the power of story doing, the growing trend of immersive technologies, and how the spirit of fan communities from events like Comic-Con is revolutionizing business conferences. Anna will share her insights on harnessing technology as a narrative tool, rather than just as a wow factor must-have, while Matt will fill us in on how XDA's evolution into a full-service creative agency is making waves in the industry. He wholeheartedly believes that people and relationships are the special sauce at XDA, creating an unmatched client experience. And both guests are enthusiastic about generating positive impacts and elevating causes through what they are labeling impactainment. In this episode of No More Bad Events, expect real talk and true passion. Mader and Schrader are surely on a mission to challenge the status quo, blend boldness with kindness, and to ultimately redefine greatness. They like to say that it's knowing about how to dream with your feet on the ground while believing mountains were made to be moved. So turn up the volume and get ready for a no-fluff, all-fun crash course on how to absolutely crush it with your next event. And with that, let's jump right in. I was looking at your sizzle reel, which was an exciting, very cinematic sizzle reel. It sort of defines who you folks are. And one of the statements that struck me was this idea of the drive to redefine greatness. So back in the early 2000s, everyone talked about, it's all about taking something, an idea or a company from good to great. That was a familiar business refrain. I think it was from Jim Collins' book. And now it's about redefining greatness. So what does that mean to you, and what does that mean for your clients?
I think it really goes back to our brand platform of Create Better. And what are we here to do, right? This is called No More Bad Events. I think no more bad events, like we understand that we want better, right? We want better events. When we talk about redefining greatness, it means that we are a constant work in progress, right? We are creating an environment where it's okay to take risks creatively. It's okay to not get it right the first time. It's okay to respectfully challenge, right? And that's to our own team members as well as our clients. I think one of the things we've found is that sometimes we need to break the brief, right? Sometimes we uncover problems that our clients think they're trying to solve. And we're like, maybe that's actually not the right problem, and it takes this culture of fearlessness to not be afraid to question, to push, to rethink, redefine, right? And potentially blow it all up in the service of something better and creating something better.
What does creating better mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, creating better is the heart and soul of the agency. And as Anna said, it's not just to create better events. I mean, that's what we do, but it's just to create better in everything we touch. And that is as important to us internally as it is to our clients. We can't be satisfied with just good enough, right? Our value to a client is that they know that no matter what we do, no matter what we touch, our North Star is to create better, no matter what. And that's a tough pill to swallow sometimes for clients, right? Because we're going to be challenging them and we're going to be pushing them to think differently, to redefine what greatness does look like. Our business, Scott, we've been doing this a long time, long enough probably. But, when a client comes to us and says, hey, we got a pot of money and we want you to do this. And then they say, you can't talk to anybody and you got 3 weeks to figure that out. How can you create better in that environment? So in a very respectful way, we're like, we're not going to do it that way. We need to talk to you guys. We need to be able to have access. And if we don't, and it often happens, then Anna says, you know what? I'm going to blow shit up. I'm going to really get after it. And it's not going to be like anything anyone else is going to submit, because her strategy team, her creative team are going to do a deep dive and they're going to figure out the problem, even though our client might not know what that problem is. And that's really been working. It's funny, clients don't realize that they need to create better as well. And when they see it, I think it's something special.
Do you think the audience is looking for people now to create better? They've been to meetings for years and years, and now they're looking, hey, we don't want to see the same old thing.
Totally. Yeah. And I know you have some thoughts on this, but 100%. I mean, especially coming out of COVID, right? Let's get back together. The notion of, well, I don't know, maybe we don't need to get back together. That's insane or absurd, I would say, is, once people are together, they realize what they've been missing, right? But their time's more important to them now. And by the way, it's more precious. We were talking about your role 15 years ago in a 6-hour general session. That doesn't exist anymore, right? So they expect more because time is more important to them. Attention spans, because of the phones and social media and all those things, cause us to work harder to create better. So yeah, their expectations are off the chart. If it's not better than a 20-second video on Twitter, then they're not going to pay attention.
So Anna, are you creating within that space, that mindset that we have to constantly be reaching out to them, keeping them engaged throughout, an entire session?
Oh, absolutely. And not only do people have higher expectations for events, I think it doesn't stop there. People have higher expectations for themselves, for how they spend their time, for the places they work. So the onus is to be better. And people don't just want paychecks, right? Like, they want purpose. People don't just want to attend events. They want something that's going to give them a sense of community, that's going to spark their minds. That it is such a different world coming out of the pandemic where we didn't have this, that what we do as experienced creators is design time. So if people are going to spend time with us, right, we need to be respectful of that and really craft every single moment from, the moment they walk in that door, that first impression. We take them on that journey, we bring them back down, and how do we curate that throughout the year as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important thing now, is being respectful of people's time, also taking them on this journey. They can feel it. Kindness, you folks talk a lot about kindness, but not just kindness paired with being a total badass. And I know that's valued at XD Agency. How do you foster this balance, and how does it contribute to the overall success of the agency?
I think it really goes back to our values, right? So our values are, and we live these, like everyone has values, right? Everyone has their values. We so intrinsically believe these, that when we hand select our like world-class team, we are like, do they live this too? Be real, be bold, be clear. Let's communicate the right way and be kind. And we do believe, these are not mutually exclusive qualities. You can be kind and you can be a total badass at what you do. And that is like the killer combo that we're really proud to cultivate at our agency.
I'm sure your clients, when dealing with you and Anna or Matt, you can address this. What is their response to this passion that you all live, these values you all live? Are they surprised by it? Do they get on board and they move at a different frequency, just experiencing both of you and your team?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely palatable. It's not just something that we talk about in the first couple of meetings or at a pitch, and then all of a sudden it's like, scratch those values. We're constantly holding the bar up to a level to meet those expectations. When clients challenge us, it's a two-way street. We're selective to our clients. Obviously, we need to make money and we need new clients and we need to grow and develop the clients we have. But we've parted ways with clients because they didn't match up in a variety of ways to the values that we believe we all should have. And so when we make decisions like that, it not only in some cases is like our clients are taken back by it, but like it reinforces to our 75 full-time employees that shit, these guys mean it, and believe it. And the leadership team has their back, and that's something special.
Yeah. And Anna, you folks work with a lot of big brands and, you're constantly needing to collaborate. And a lot of times, I guess it's tough, with a creative agency, there's a sense of you might know more or have a stronger point of views. How do you collaborate with these industry defining brands to get them on board with your vision and ultimately create a transformative experience for their attendees?
I think it starts with trust, building that collaborative relationship where we're almost on the same team, right? Like we have an amazing strategy team. And if we don't have that open line of communication with our clients to be like, hey, this is what we're seeing. Is this right? Or, hey, can we push you here? Is this like, how does this feel? Can we challenge you? Can we continually look at and redefine greatness, right? Like, what is that? Building that trust and those relationships is what, at the end of the day, makes the ideas so much better.
If event professionals or even anyone within an organization is listening to this podcast, what would you want to tell them? Because there is that balance between we have a great idea and sometimes they just don't get it or they feel they have a stronger idea. If you had a client who was like, tell me how I should go through this process so that we all come together at a great outcome, what would you say to them?
I would say open the door to your agencies, right? Like we all, at the end of the day, we have the same goal. We want to all create something we're really damn proud of, right? So the more we know, the more we understand, the more we trust each other, don't hold back. They don't need to know this information because we want a very strong why behind every single what that we're creating. So the more we can understand, know, dig in, like open the door to us. We want to create something with you.
And Matt, I know a big part of XDA is this idea of shifting culture from the inside out. So how do you incorporate this belief into your daily operations and also with your client engagements?
Well, first off, shifting culture from the inside out is bold, right? And what does that really mean? What it doesn't mean, and we're not trying to knock the doors of a Fortune 50 company and completely shift their culture. That's not what we're trying to do, right? Our little part in a big retailer or an automotive client, or consumer is to shift the audience, right? And work with our clients to create experiences that allow those audiences to do something. And so if we're able to create a program that shifts their mindset and shifts their culture in a way to do something, then I think we're having success. We want people to leave whatever experience we're doing and say, I'm motivated. I love the company I work with. I want to invest in this company, or I want to buy more of these, and do it in a way that they're proud to be a part of that program. And so we're not making monumental shifts in culture, just to be clear. We're trying to do our part to shift the culture of the people that we interact with and that we can move audiences.
And Anna, is this culture shifting? Is this coming from some input that you've gotten from the client? Look, we need to move our employees more in this direction, or we need to get this from our customers? Or is it sometimes a situation where you're taking a broad look at what they're doing and it's something that hits you because you have an outside perspective?
Our goal as an agency, right, is to create the kinds of experiences that have like such a deep resonance with the audience that they do have the power to shift, enhance, or like build culture in some capacity. And when we talk about culture is a big word, right? How do we define that? And when we look at, shifting culture by creating it, or shifting culture from the inside out, it actually starts with us as an agency. We look at it as like inside out. We turn the microscope back on ourselves because we think the only way to create the kind of powerful work that has the power to move people in whatever direction you want them to go is by having and looking at our own culture as an agency.
We're constantly talking about, experience design, which has a big impact on the audience. You want to tell us about maybe a couple of examples where the experience design really had an effect, an impact on your audience?
Yeah. Everyone talks about storytelling these days, right? And there's been this evolution, interestingly enough, from storytelling to story doing. We were at Meow Wolf yesterday, right? Where you walk in and it's this exploratory self-discovery story. And the reason we're seeing this shift and the reason we're seeing people talk about stories is because it works. And storytelling plays a really big role in how we design our experiences, whether we are crafting a general session or a keynote, or whether we're like doing a pop-up activation or a worldwide scavenger hunt. We're approaching it through the lens of a narrative arc. And interestingly enough, one of the archetypes that works really well is the hero's journey. Why? Because we all resonate. We want to be the hero, right? And that involves a hero who goes on an adventure, learns a lesson, wins a victory, or like has this newfound transcendence or knowledge, and then returns home transformed. And when we look at our experience design and our framework, we recognize every story needs that, one, a compelling beginning, because first impressions are everything. And then also this peak moment. You have to take them up to this moment. Like, wow, if I remember absolutely nothing, I'm like, holy shit, that was amazing. That was amazing. We take them on this peak moment. And then you need a way to bring your audience back down. I think we often forget about the bottom part of the roller coaster, right? We're still on this journey. And we also look at the energizers in between. And one of the things we've also found is there's different levels of engagement in this story. Skimmers, dippers, and divers, I think, is one of the frameworks we've heard of and we've used. And that means there are some people that just want the lowest level of engagement. They're your 10,000-foot audience members, and they are really just going to cruise. And you need to shape the story for them, for your skimmers. And then you need to be like, how am I going to get those people, pique their interest? So they want to dip in here and there. And you need to craft the story for that level of engagement, as well as those divers, right? Those people that are deep in the fandom. They're there, and this also needs to be just as compelling and interesting for them. So we really look at it through that lens to make sure that we're bringing the hero home.
Yeah. Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell was a big fan of his, and it's being used, it's always been used in movies. I know several years back, people were using a hero's journey, even in sales, taking, that's during that sales process. So it is very effective. We're talking about creating an emotional connection with the audience. What other ways do you use these experiences that the audience can have to create an experience that really deeply resonates with them, that has a lasting impact?
So Paul Zak, he is an experiential neuroscientist. He's pretty interesting. You probably have to deal with this all the time, Scott. He said, you have 10 seconds in an experience to actually capture people's attentions, or you've lost them, right? It's 10 seconds. It's that initial out the gates, like, I'm hooked, or I'm on my phone. I'm looking at something else. I'm doing something else. And he says, which is really interesting, like impact is better than enjoyment. He says experiences fail because we ask people about liking something. And he's like, I don't really care about whether you like something or don't. Like, I care about it shaking up your brain so much that it blows your mind. And I think that's what we're always trying to do. And what's interesting in experience design, I think one of the most underused tools in our toolkit, especially let's talk about like walking into a general session, is sound design. This is something seems so simple, but is so underutilized. And I'm not just talking about like, oh, we have a walk-in loop and there's this peppy music and we're getting all the sales team like riled up. Like, no, I'm talking about looking at this from an artistic lens, like using sound frequencies to create mindset shifts. It's so simple and it really works. Like, there's so much science behind it. I think it's like 852 hertz is like known to boost presence. So you feel awareness and also replace negative thoughts with positive ones. So imagine like you're walking in and like subconsciously, you're just like this, it works. You're setting people up. I've also heard, I think this might be Polzak, I've heard that it takes about 3 minutes to spark what is called universal rhythmic patterns among an audience. And what does that mean? That means you're in a space. It takes 3 minutes for you all to quite literally, through sound, and you pair this with kinetic movement, technologies, performers, visuals, and it quite literally puts everyone on the same wavelength. So really looking at how you open that up in such a purposeful way and utilize all the senses in a way to start that rich storytelling.
Are you always looking for something big in that opening moment to grab them? And has there been anything recently where you go, oh man, we had a vision of this and we executed on it and it blew them all away?
Yeah, I mean, it varies. It doesn't always have to be big and loud. It varies with what we're trying to achieve with the audiences. It also varies with the risk our clients are willing to make. As Anna was talking about sound design and dippers, divers, and
skimmers. What I was thinking about when Anna was talking about sound design was that's not an expensive add-on to a program. So, when we're thinking about making big impact on audiences, that doesn't always translate into dollars. And so Anna's creative team goes a little bit deeper to say, like, how can we impact the audience? And listen, clients love when we're not talking about an expensive add-on, right? So it depends on the audience. I mean, there's nothing better than a big opener that gets people's attention. We've had some really great success with a high-tech client that we've done their program for the last 7 years. And we've really focused in on that experience, that walk-in experience. And it goes beyond just, as Anna mentioned, just like a peppy walk-in. It's like orbs hanging from the ceiling or homemade 20-foot origami butterflies that are up and down and taking light and moving, where people are stunned and they're just taking videos of while they're getting to their seat. So they know then we're trying to get them in that right frame of mind to be prepared to take action. And so that's how we sort of go about what are the things that we're going to do to create impact. What are some other ideas that, because it's not just hit them with that big idea and then we're just in presentations. You got to be able to pull that red thread all the way through the event. So is that opening moment something to part of that story arc, Anna, that you were talking about that will then continue to go through, that it's not just a big boom up front and then we're just back to everything is normal?
It is absolutely the first peek into that story unfolding, right? And it's a tone setter. Where is our audience starting at? Where do we need to take them? And that opening experience tends to set the tone, set the energy, set that shift in motion as we look at a narrative. And I think coming out of the pandemic, especially coming back to live, so many of these opening experiences now not only incorporate really immersive technologies, but also humanity, live performance. People want to see this amazing blend in choreography of mixed realities with human beings performing. And that's been a really interesting space to play in of how do we bring these two together to create amazing openings.
I think people are looking to have more connection these days. And in any way we can do that more, as I mentioned, more emotional connection. Are there ways to bring that connection, purposely bring that connection out to the audience? I always talk to people on this podcast about people needing more of an immersive experience. We don't want to just sit back and watch things. We want to participate. How do you bring in engagement to that level where they feel they're somewhat part of the experience? They're driving it too.
Right, right. I think it's that co-creation. It's that evolution too, from storytelling to story doing. You're in the driver's seat. You're affecting what's happening. You're a part of this. You're the lead protagonist. And people want to be in places that spark their imaginations. But more importantly, when you're talking about connection, because people don't have to go to events these days, they want to be in a space that creates a sense of community and belonging. I think one of the most interesting things about our agency is that we do get the opportunity to work with, yes, the big corporate brands, and we do a lot of B2B, but we do a ton of B2C too, and a lot of consumer work. And working with different IPs and looking at how they build fandoms and like what that means in the true sense, and applying those learnings of like, what does a really deep community look like? And how do we talk to these deep communities? And how do we create authentic experiences where they're like, oh my God, this feels so culturally rich and culturally relevant to me. We take a lot of that feeling that we're generating in the consumer space, and we look at how do we bring that to a business event? How do we bring that to a corporate event?
Yeah, Matt, I was just thinking about that. Are you still working with Lego? So those are big fan events. I've always been curious on how much, when you're doing both business conferences and you're doing these sort of fandom events, these cons of whatever con. I don't know if it was Lego Con. I don't know. I'm making things up.
Comic-Con. We're at all the cons.
It was just all Comic-Con. Have you been able to bring things from that world into the corporate space?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think, as Anna mentioned, again, that's one of the things that makes XDA special, is that we do have both B2B and B2C, and we do take what people are doing in the consumer world to business. Everyone talks about, consumerization and festivalization of corporate programs, and it's not a throwaway. I mean, people want to believe in what they're spending their time doing. So yeah, we try to incorporate the risks and the ways that consumer brands embrace their fan to the business side of things, no doubt about it. I mean, this event we were just doing this week in Vegas, you talk about how do you engage the audience, how do you get them involved? And you wouldn't think, it's a big retailer, so it's a business brand, but this audience they're crazy fans of where they work. And so, there are things in front of them, whether it's beach balls or number one fingers or clappers or whatever. I mean, they're engaged through and through. You don't have to tell them to get involved. They are involved. I mean, standing ovations. So embracing that fandom rather than like, hey, we're going to be didactic and just talk at you. Embrace that fandom and get them involved. It's always more effective, for sure.
Yeah, this sort of building this sense of community where, just like you would see at a concert, at a Taylor Swift concert,
Totally.
It's about the community. And I love the fact that creative agencies and even companies are more open to that. How can we, talking about changing the culture from the inside out is really playing on that culture and getting people involved in the culture. The same thing you would do with a consumer brand, to get everybody, on board. These days, there's a lot of new technologies coming out. Can you just discuss the importance of incorporating, innovative technologies into experience design, and how has XDA approached this?
It is imperative that we play with experiential, immersive, emerging technologies. But I will say technologies are a tactic. So every single thing we do needs to be in service to the idea and the story. So yes, technology plays a massive role in how that story can unfold, but we never lead with let's make sure we use this crazy hologram, right? We never lead with that. We lead with the idea, and then we craft the best platform to make that idea pure magic. Recently, we did a big dealer show for a major car brand. And all of those shows are always in the dark, right? They are in a dark ballroom or a dark expo hall. And we were like, you know what? Why do we not show these cars in the glory of the sun, which is how they are in the world, in real life? So we had these massive windows and we used a semi-transparent LED screen and we did a daylight show, which was awesome. It worked really well.
So looking ahead, what exciting projects or trends can we expect from XDA in the near future? What do you have up in the horizon? What are you excited about? What are you excited to talk about?
Well, I think we're excited about where we have evolved as an agency for sure. We had a great year in 2023. 2024 is looking fabulous and fantastic. We're hiring. So we've brought on fabulously talented people. So everything about XDA at the moment just feels good. The decisions we're making just feel good. The wins that we're having feel really good because we're winning for like the right reasons, at least that we think so. So, I would say we're at the pinnacle of where we've been as an agency, and we want to just keep growing and we want to keep providing value to clients. I think that's what I'm excited about, is just how we've grown and developed and evolved as an agency. What Anna's brought to the table and the creative side of things has really been transformative. And, just keep doing what we're doing. We're lucky to be in this world. I mean, I tell friends and family and whoever will listen, this is in many ways a make-believe space. We're very, very lucky. So we got to take advantage of that. And, we got to provide value to our clients because they trust us and we do, really cool things for them.
I'll say this must be an exciting time for you, Anna, because people are a little bit more open. I think because we're all coming back together, I think everyone's imagination is starting to grow and they know what we just discussed in the very beginning of this conversation is that the audience expectations have changed. So they're opening up to it. The audience is opening up to it. Is there anything that comes to mind now that maybe a few years ago, there's no way we would have been able to get our clients to green light this, but now they're open to do it?
Great question, Scott. I would say this may sound cheesy, but a big part of what Create Better is creating a better world. And we're getting to this place where we can actually bring artists into these experiences where we can look at things not just through an entertainment lens, but through like an impact-tainment lens where we're doing things that leave a beautiful dent on the world in some capacity. And I say that with my whole heart. I'm like, now that we're in this space, it's like, how do we use where we are as an agency? How do we use these trusted relationships with brands to do good with it? How can we connect the dots so that we have voices elevated that wouldn't be elevated? So we have causes that are, elevated and seen in a new way. And that's what really excites me. It's like, how can we use what we do every day to make the world just a little bit better?
And you can't fake that. You've got to believe it at your core.
100%. And it's not cheesy. It's true. But the bottom line, as Anna mentions, is like, we're affecting 10,000 people in an audience. I mean, not a lot of people can say that. So to be able to have the license and the trust from a partner to let you do your thing and then see it come together is pretty special. So I'm with Anna on that. That's cool.
I'm very excited for you guys. I think this is going to be a great couple of years. We're all evolving now. The creativity is growing. The imaginations of the audience and the clients are growing. You're always constantly telling people to create better. And I know it starts, with your team and your organization. You're talking about redefining greatness. Yeah, let's do that. Great is good, but let's look at it from a different lens. So I think that's exciting. And, a couple of times, you mentioned, I hope this doesn't sound cheesy. None of this sounds cheesy because of the passion that you have for it. And that's the difference. It's one thing to, pay lip service to an idea, and it's another to embody it and to embrace it. And I think anyone listening to this can feel that enthusiasm, that excitement, and that heart-centered quality that you need to create a great event and to make an impact, not only audiences, but people's lives, to move them forward, move them to greatness. So, hey, it was great to meet both of you guys. I really, really enjoyed it. How about you guys? Do you have a good time?
Yeah,
Great
of
time.
course. I mean, I don't want you to take anything away from Anna's cheesiness because she is cheesy. But you have our commitment to no more bad events. That's for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. So thank you so much. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, Scott.
That's it for now. Thanks once again to eSpeakers, the #1 way to find your next perfect speaker. With the deepest catalog of professionals available, you can be assured that the speaker you book will be the absolute best speaker based on your goals, bar none. I've been your host, Scott Bloom, corporate event MC and comedic keynote speaker. And of course, your connoisseur of connections. Oh, by the way, and if you're interested, you can book me for your next event on eSpeakers Marketplace at espeakers.com/marketplace. And if you like what you heard, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If you loved what you heard, drop us a review and don't forget to share with your friends. Thanks so much for listening. Now go out and make your event a great one.